Om Shanti. And now I'd like to ask Dr. Vinod Mungopara to come up. He's an anesthesiologist and a specialist in pain management. And all of these practitioners are all meditators.
Good evening. My specialty is meditation. I'm a doctor, but I relate to meditation a lot. So I'll talk about meditation because it's my belief that it's the meditation that can bring the real health to us, to society. And so to put this point across, I'm going to talk about that. What I think is meditation. I want to share that with you and how, what I do to meditate. We all know that, we probably have heard, all of us, that knowledge is power. This actually refers to the spiritual knowledge. What we learn as a body, that's physical knowledge. And what we learn as a spirit, as a soul, from the Supreme Soul, that is spiritual knowledge. The soul from the Supreme Soul, spiritual knowledge. What's the difference? The physical knowledge, it lasts with us until the body lasts. Then it's gone. Then you have to start again, learn again, if you believe in rebirth. Spiritual knowledge, it's the knowledge that is received by the spirit. So it remains longer, logically, longer than the body. So you can see that there is an upper hand. The spiritual knowledge has an upper hand than the physical knowledge. But that doesn't make it powerful. We say knowledge is power. So if I have a spiritual knowledge, does it make me powerful? An example of spiritual knowledge is I am a peaceful soul. If I learn that lesson in a classroom, does it make me peaceful when I meet with somebody angry? Does it make me peaceful when I go through a difficult situation? Not necessarily. But the spiritual knowledge has that power. The length doesn't matter. Spiritual knowledge may last longer in me, but that doesn't make it powerful. What makes it powerful, really, is how I, the spirit, hold that knowledge. How I, the soul, hold this knowledge, and how I, the spirit, use that knowledge. In other words, how clean I am inside so that I can hold it. And how humble or egoless I am so that I can use it. Cleanliness inside means, in the previous example, I'm a soul. That's a knowledge that I learn. But if I'm not clean inside, what does that mean? That I'm not peaceful. I get disturbed in certain situations. So that's the uncleanliness. If I have that uncleanliness within me, I have not received this knowledge. that I'm a peaceful soul. So when I become clean and then hold this knowledge, then that knowledge remains with me no matter what situation comes, no matter who I meet with. This is the power of spirituality. And using the knowledge as a, as an egoless being is actually being an instrument. Because where do I get the knowledge from? I get knowledge from the Supreme Soul, God. If I make that knowledge my knowledge, and then I use it, I decrease the strength of this knowledge. Versus I just become an instrument and it's his knowledge and I use it. I make it more powerful. So the same knowledge that I receive as a body is an information. The same knowledge I transfer into a power by these three processes: becoming a soul, receiving it from the source, making myself clean within so that I can hold this knowledge in all situations, and using it as an instrument. These processes combined, to me, is meditation. You know, we talk about meditation because we want something, we want to be powerful, we want to be strong, courageous. But how do you become courageous? How do you become fearless? This is the process. What happens when we meditate is we become silent. We become silent. Our mind, our thoughts decreases. We become silent in our hearts. That means all the inferior emotions disappear and we become light. And when we become light, when we become silent, we can see beyond our problems. Because in that silence, you can have a far sight. So you can see beyond your past problems. You can see future, your bright future. You can see the real power within you. You can see that you are really a strong, loving, rich person. You're not weak. That's what you can see. And when you see that, you bring a power in presence. You become very strong. You become worry-free. You can find a solution. You can think right. You can make a good decision. Now, a little bit about the medicine. What happens when you meditate? When you meditate, you can consciously decrease the brain thoughts that occur in the brain. Normally, they say 30 to 40 thoughts a minute, 30 thoughts average a minute occurs. But when you meditate, you can slow down, and even during the activity, during complex activities, you can slow down the brain waves. And the advantages are many when you slow down your brain activity. Your soul feels rested. When you go to sleep, you go to what is called as a delta stage of the sleep, where you have rejuvenation. You wake up fresh. Same process can happen when you have a meditative mind. You can remain silent throughout the day, and you are able to do anything more effectively. Not only the brain activities, you can control your breathing, you can control your heart rate, your blood pressure, everything that happens in your body, you can nicely control it. So this is a big advantage of meditation, where you can make a difference in your health. And that's why I say that I believe that health is the meditation is the key to bring a good health for us and for others too. Not only just physical health, but social health also. When I meditate, I become a peaceful, understanding person. I have good relations. Social health, mental health, psychological health, all kinds of health, economical health, also money. Because when I meditate, I am very honest person. I am very efficient. My boss is happy with me. I'm always ahead in the game. So a little bit about along that same line, you can actually meditate and you can see how you're meditating. What is your mind power? You can see it in a machine called. There are many machines called biofeedback devices. These biofeedback devices, they actually measure your heart rate, your breathing pattern, your mind waves, and they give you live a feedback. So looking at that, you can tell how you're doing, and you can improve your power to meditate by looking at this biofeedback device. And I'd like you to join me in the exhibit above when the classes end. To experiment for yourself. I can have you try one of the biofeedback devices that I have, and you can see how you are able to silence your mind. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Vinod. That was wonderful. So we've done a lot of informative, right, and experiential practice together. And we're going to now practice having tea and a break. But the lovely thing is we have like a 10, 15-minute break. And then we'll come back, and Fern Jeffcoat is going to lead us in Qigong movement. So those of us who are maybe needing a little more energy to revitalize body, mind, and spirit with some Qigong. And on our break, we will have some music if you wanted to sit back and hear bells or go for a little break. And after Fern, we will have harp music and the explanation of how music heals with Kyoko Kimura. All right? So welcome back. Welcome Om. Ready? Om. Breathe through the nose. Air. It's very true. Breathing really helps. So what I'm getting so far and receiving so far from these conversations is we have to allow things to flow. I'm sure you could find some other descriptive words for yourself. But for me, I'm thinking, what can I do to bring more movement, more flow in my life? And speaking of movement, we have Fern Jeffcoat. She has been trained in Qigong and Tai Chi, but today she's going to talk a bit about Qigong and do some demonstration and for all of us to enjoy some movement. So please welcome Fern.
So, Qigong sounds like a really fancy word, but it just means working with your life energy. And it's mostly a Chinese system. And I combine Qigong and Tai Chi principles together. I started with Tai Chi and then I included Qigong along the way because Qigong is a lot easier for most people. Tai Chi is very complicated. There's a lot of moves you have to remember, and people give up after a while. Qigong is much easier. So, so do you know why people have less falls when they practice Tai Chi? 70% less falls when you practice.
Strength in muscles and bones.
Slow moving.
Okay, so I'll answer the test. Okay, so the first thing is you're sinking your center of gravity. So stand with your feet pointing straight forward, about hip width apart, and sink your hips. And remember when you were young and you didn't want to be picked up? Remember how heavy you could get? So your parents couldn't pick you up? That's what you want to do. You want to be so heavy in your bottom, but you don't want to compress your bones. The bones are soft. You're sinking, but you're elongating your spine up. So sinking shoulders, hips, tailbone, elbows, chest, nose, and chin. You're sinking those down through the feet into the earth. But your spine is going up. So that's the balance. That's the yin and yang balance. Okay? So that's one aspect about why there's less falls. The second one is alignment. So does somebody want to be a demonstrator up here with me? Yeah. Okay. So stand so you're on the side. So you can see her posture, right? Let me look at your posture. She's actually really good. Okay, when I press down, if she's not aligned, she's either going to go forward with her hips or she's going to go back. Either way, if she's not totally aligned over her feet. So when I press down, see how she's going forward. So she was a little bit back in her back. So I'm going to adjust you. Yeah, now sink into your feet without bending your knees. Keep let your chest go forward, but let your tailbone sink. Now straighten your legs slightly, and go forward slightly. So what happens is that a lot of times we don't know what our body's doing. It's very common. We only know what we know about our bodies, but we don't see everything that we do. So the alignment will help us to be connected more through the earth. So, like if we run into something and I'm not aligned, I'm going to fall easier, right? I'm going to trip on something. But if I'm upright, if I'm aligned, feeling my feet, hips over the feet, shoulders over the hips, there you go. See, I can start feeling your feet now. So there's a point at which you can start feeling your feet, and you can practice this with each other later. We don't have time to do it now. Okay, so thank you. That was good. So you can practice that. Press down, and if you buckle forward without going straight into your feet, it means you're not totally aligned. So you can help each other with that later. Okay, so that's number 2. What was the first one? First one. Sinking. Center of gravity. Down. Really, like, pretend you don't want to be picked up. Second? Okay. So what do you think the third one is? Alignment is posture. Everything's good. All answers are correct.
Weightless.
Soft joints. Because when we lock our joints, we become like a piece of furniture. I'm moving away from the microphone, sorry for those on webinar and Facebook. So when I lock my joints, I become a piece of furniture. Like if somebody pushes me, I'm going to fall straight over. But if my joints are soft, and you've probably seen that, I mean, kids, joints are really pliable. When they fall over, they just laugh. When we fall over, we go to the hospital. So soft joints. So every joint in the body soft, and that helps the fluids flow, helps connect the joints together, help the limbs together. Okay, so those three things. So again, sinking, alignment, great. Practice. So one of the things you can do, press your elbow against your body and take your hand and pull it away from your forearm. Just keep doing that, pulsating it. And I should have actually had you put your arms out first like this. So put your arms out like this. So see where they are in distance, length. Okay, now do that again. So just pulse, pulling your hand away from your forearm. So you're lubricating your joint when you do this. You're getting more fluids to flow. But you're also lengthening your arm when you do that. And you'll see in a moment. It also feels good because it warms the joint. Okay, now put your arms back out. What do you see? Yeah, so you can do that with any joint. Some of the joints are harder to do on ourselves. It helps have somebody else do it for us. Yeah, it's harder on the legs. But, okay, one of the things the Chinese say about your health, because we are hearing a lot of things about health today. It's called Journey to Wellness. Okay, anyway. So they say if your legs are strong, you are strong. People that don't exercise at all, don't move the bottom part of their bodies, those at computers all day, those are the ones that are going to have weaker organs and systems in general. So the more we move our legs, the better. And in Tai Chi and Qigong, there's exercises where you bend and lengthen. Bend and lengthen. A lot of Qigongs. So you're pulsating the fluids and the joints. So again, when we come up, we don't want to lock the knees. No furniture. The joints stay soft when we lengthen. And so you can do one movement in your legs and it affects the body 10 times. If you do one movement with the arm, it doesn't affect the body that way. So anything you do with your legs is really good. Keeps us out of the wheelchair. Seriously. I mean, you don't see Tai Chi practitioners in wheelchairs too often, except if they've had an accident or something. Okay, so now there's the beginning move in Tai Chi, which is you start with your hips bent and you coordinate the movement of the arms when you lengthen the hips or lengthen the legs, arms come up, bend the legs, arms come down. And you can coordinate your breathing, which is really good because it helps to relax the nervous system. So breathe in and breathe out. And everything is through the nose. So also one of the things about Qigong and Tai Chi is it's circular. Everything in the body, most of the things in the body are circular. Our DNA, spiral. So what we do is create circles when we move, and also feel the circles, the shapes. So when we're doing this, you want to feel that the circle in your arms is not your arms moving. It's not this. It's your whole back. It's your whole back and your hips that are moving the arms. It's not isolated. Everything starts together, everything ends together. I have no idea what time I'm on here till. Any idea? Okay, while she looks, there's something that helps balance the endocrine system. It's called swinging, and there's lots of different types of swinging qigong movements. But we can start with a very basic one. Just hopefully you won't hit someone in front of you. So the arms just come up, shoulder high, and you let them drop. And then on the fifth one, so your hips and knees don't get too locked, is you do a double bounce. So you bend going down, and the hands come behind, and then when the hands come forward, you bend again, coming up. So let's practice that double bounce. So that's the fifth one, but it's no magic like, so let's do 4, regular, 3, 4, and on the fifth one, we do the double bounce. If you forget it or you do it too soon, no problem. It's not going to hurt you. People sometimes say, oh, I heard that this is going to hurt if I do this, if I practice this. And the only time people get hurt is if they overextend their capacity. Because the idea is not no pain, no gain. That does not apply here. We're not pushing to the greatest extent. We're stretching to open from the inside out. Everything opens, because the more space you have inside, the more processes can happen in the body.
We have 5 more minutes.
Okay. So you can see it with the bent joints. I'm not trying to go out here. I'm not taking my shoulder past where my hip is. My shoulder's right on top of my hip. I keep my alignment through any move. The body stays aligned. So while we do this, does anyone have a question? There's so many different qigong for all different, just basic exercise, opening meridians, for cancer, for being sick with a cold. And Tai Chi is like endless. I've been doing it 33 years and feel like I'm just beginning. It's like Raja Yoga meditation. It's like, just keeps going on and on and on. So anyone have a question?
Yes, my question is, how can you find balance? Because when I pay attention to my body, sometimes I stand one side, they have more weight than the other.
Yeah. So just practice putting equal weight. And sometimes if we have an injury, or mothers carrying babies, this happens. No, train the hip back on top of the foot. So it's just a matter of awareness and practice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Question?
What is the best way to start learning it?
Just do whatever we did today. Yeah.
How often?
And then there's thousands of Qigong videos out there. There's something called Shibashi, which is a very basic Qigong set. You can do a search and find that, or an instructor. Find an instructor. Videos are okay for practice, but to learn, not so good. Yes, brother? Qigong, yeah, yeah. Because in our, the students that start, I haven't actually had new students since before the pandemic because of the pandemic. But it's much more complicated. It's easier for them to get discouraged when they try Tai Chi than Qigong, because Qigong usually is repetitive. Like we did this, it's repetitive. You know, you get, oh, okay, now, okay, I got it. And then you can refine it. But Tai Chi is like 108 movements, and it's like, okay, that's because you're stepping and you're turning and everything's coordinated. It's much more complicated. Yeah. So Qigong.
What is the best time, and is there any relation with the food?
With food?
Best time to do this, the best time.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime.
The food, just after food or before food or.
Well, you just do what's comfortable. I mean, if you can do it after you eat, that's fine. On empty stomach is good. If I have my smoothie too soon before class, when we do some of the warm-ups, I can feel that I had my smoothie too late. It can be. It depends on what kind of knee pain you have. So I can't answer that. But if it feels better doing it and you don't have residual pain, it's probably really good. Because a lot of people, they have arthritis and they find total relief in class. They have no pain once they practice. And I think my time's up.
Oh,
Okay.
is it?
You
Thank
did
you.
great. Everyone, you did great. Great, 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 great.
Isn't Fern great? Great, 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 great. Thank you, Fern. So now we'll meditate for a few minutes with Kim and some resonance of the bells. And then we'll have Kyoko Kimura giving us resonance and also explaining about the harp and the effect of healing that it has. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, and welcome. My name is Kyoko Kimura, and I'm a certified healing harpist. And I got my certification during the COVID lockdown time. First, I'd like to explain a little bit about three types of harps. One is called arched harp, which looks like a bow. They're from Africa. And the second one is called angular harps. There are two pieces of wood like this, and the strings are attached to the both. And this one is a Celtic Irish harp, and it's called a framed harp. So the neck and the soundboard, they are joined with the pillar or column of the harp, and the strings are attached. So it's a triangular shape. And there are many aspects why harp sound is therapeutic. One is it is like a circular musical exchange between the player and the audience. So the harp is very unique that the soundboard is facing the performer. And if you think about other string instruments, the soundboard, the hole is usually towards the audience or up in the air. But this is towards the harp player. So what that means is the vibration of the harp sounds comes to the player first. And then the player can set the intention and then bring the sound to the audience. And the audience also feels the effect of the harp, and then that will go back to me, the player. And so it's like a circular musical exchange. Second aspect is that the harp is the only instrument that's string instrument that's tuned in mathematically pure fashion. So you probably saw me tuning a couple of times before today's program. I tuned each string all the time. This is a very warm room, so the strings got stretched, so I constantly had to tweak them. When the strings are perfectly tuned, the harmonics come out. So the harmonics means if I play a C, you think you only hear one note, but one tone is made up with layers of different tones. So if they are tuned perfectly, you will hear different tones. The proof of that is when I was using the tuner, even though I was playing C, sometimes it shows G because that's in the harmonics. So what that does to the body is that it penetrates into many layers of the organs, like the tissues and bones. So it affects different parts of the body for healing. And the functionality of the Irish harps in the ancient times was for laughing, crying, and sleeping. So these are the very basic healing, like a releasing of the emotions. And it's very important to express yourself in laughing and crying, and of course, sleeping. And Irish harp was used to do ballading. Sorry, I'm not saying it right. Balladry. That means the players who used to travel with a harp, they can tell the news of the day to different places as they traveled. Another important thing is it's called entrainment. And the easier way to explain entrainment is that when you have one clock ticking and you bring another clock, that's also ticking, close enough so that after a while they start clicking together in the same speed, same rhythm. And so our body has a lot of steady beat. Our breathing, our pulse, heartbeat, respiration, blood circulation, these are all very steady things. So when I used to do my training in the hospital, I learned how to play the harp, listening to the patient's breathing and looking at how they were breathing. If they're sleeping, I would just keep playing slowly. And if they're a little bit agitated, I would slow down the music so that they can become more relaxed. And so that is really important because oftentimes we're in a rush. We're always in a time crunch. And we forget to breathe in deeply and relax. So harp music can help you balanced so that you are becoming healthy physically, of course, mentally, psychologically, and spiritually. So for me, playing the harp music is like giving message to the audience. And with the awareness of myself and the intention that I put in, I can also bring that healing message to people. And harp sound is really blessed with the qualities of beauty. And also, it is very therapeutic for me to play. And sometimes I just pluck some strings and I get an idea. So I start composing. And on the Friday meetup meditation at the San Francisco Center, I usually improvise music, depending on the commentary that's being narrated. So I like to demonstrate one composition that I made. It is made in D Dorian mode. So mode is a little bit different from major or minor scale. So, okay, I don't need this anymore. Just didn't want to miss any information. So if I play all the notes without any sharp or flats in the scale, they become modal. So I start with the D. So this is the D Dorian mode. So it's neither major or minor. If it's a major D major scale, it'll sound like this. And if it's a minor, this is called a harmonic minor. There are 3 different types of minor, but I'm not going to that. So the D Dorian, I'm going to play it again. I find the D Dorian mode music is very soothing and calming. And oftentimes I play D Dorian music. Afterwards, people will come to me and say, it was very beautiful. I went somewhere, but I don't know where I went, but I was somewhere. So it takes them away from thinking too much about what's going to happen tomorrow or what happened yesterday or worrying about whatever of the world. So I like to play a song I composed, I think I would say 3 years ago. It's called Ebb and Flow, and it's in D Dorian mode.
Thank you, Kyoko. That was so beautiful. You don't even want to clap after that.